So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started with Mr. Slate here. Today we're doing things a little bit differently. As you can see, we are in a different pen. We opened up one of these panels to bring them over here. This pen doesn't have a half wall like the other pen does. And so that would help keep me protected so that while I was working with him, trying to put the halter on, you know, when we first started, he was striking a lot, he'd kick, he'd bite and try to come at you. It gave me a little bit of protection so that he couldn't come right into me. Today, I'm gonna work on haltering him where I walk right up to him. I'm not gonna have the benefit of that half wall, and we'll see how he does. But for something like this, this isn't something that I'll do unless I feel pretty confident, pretty certain that my horse is ready to move to that next step so that I don't get hurt, especially with a horse that can be as aggressive as he is. So he just finished his breakfast. He gets soaked alfalfa and his nose is all full of that green alfalfa stuff there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go right to my initial cue, which has always been having him fall into my hand. And this is something that you'll hear me referring to over and over again. You can see he's a little cranky, he's pinning those ears back. But the idea here is I'm gonna pick up my hand here. I want him to fall into my hand. And I'm gonna add a little bit of pressure with my stick there. Good boy, to let him know that falling into my hand is always going to be the best option to get him away from pressure here. So I'm gonna ask again. I'm gonna tap with my stick here. I'm gonna keep tapping. I really want him to come over my direction. There, good boy. So now this time when I pick up my halter, if he moves away, good boy, I'm gonna go back to tapping until he comes into my hand. I'm gonna retreat there, yeah, good boy. I'm gonna pick up here. And so now I'm just gonna slide over his ears here. Good. And I'm gonna kind of just tuck my, my steady stick here, like kind of under my belt buckle here, my belt loop. That way I can free up my hand. And I don't want to bring the stick over here and freak him out. Good. And again, I really want him to be committed here and stay with me. Good boy. And if he leaves, now I'll go back to my stick. That's why I keep it handy there. Good. I'm gonna go right back over to his ear. Okay. And I'm gonna tuck my stick back here. So I've got it handy. I'll come up over his ear here. And again, he can leave, but if he does leave, I'm gonna go back, good boy, to adding pressure. Good, I love this. What a gentleman. Got all that stuff on your face, bud. This is a huge step for me to be able to do this and feel comfortable enough that he's not going to strike or come out at me. Now, he left me, so he's gotta come back. I want him to fall into my hand. Then I'll release. Over and over again, you guys will hear me talk about getting my horse to fall into my hand, right? I'm not sneaking around to get that halter on. I've always had a high hand, and when he comes in, that hand goes away, because eventually that's gonna turn into getting them to, I'm gonna tap them here, when I pull on the rein, right? To come into my hand, to not be bracy, but to work with me. But this is a huge, huge step for him. And I'm really, really happy that I can trust him enough. You can still see he's a little penny-eared, right? At certain points where he doesn't like it, but he's still working with me. Do I trust him 100%? Absolutely, absolutely not. In fact, I'm ready if he were to come to bite or strike at me, but we're moving in the right direction. But I have a very, very long lead rope here. And this long lead rope can actually be more dangerous than any kick or bite that he gives to me. When you're working with a long lead rope, you got to manage your rope and be very careful and aware of how you're working with these, because it's so easy for this to get wrapped around you, get you hung up in it, and your horse ends up dragging you, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of toss the length out onto the ground. And the reason why I have this so long is so that if he pulls away from me, no matter where he is in this pen, I've got him, right? I can engage him and I can work with him, because at the end of this session, we're gonna go right into another session where I'm actually gonna lead him out of here for the first time. Now, he's been turned out and we've kind of funneled him with panels into like different enclosed turnout areas in the arena where he can stretch and move, but it's just been like cattle, just kind of funneling him there, you know, kind of running him there and then kind of directing him over here and closing gates, just like how we got him from this, that pin to this pin, just opening up a panel and kind of pushing him through. But now we're gonna work on, okay, you're haltered, You've got a lead rope on you. We're gonna work on leading you, which we've worked on before just in here, but now we're actually gonna leave the barn, take him out of the stall, and take him to a round pen so we can start kind of doing more work with him. So I'm gonna toss all of this out of the way. I wanna make sure I'm never stepping on any of that excess rope, okay? I don't wanna get hung up in it. And I'm gonna start again. I want him to fall into my hand. So I'm gonna start with a high hand. Good boy, he's really getting the hang of this. High hand again. If he moves away, I'll tap him. Good boy. And again, high hand. Good boy, I'll give him a rub for that. Good boy, up. High hand. This is where a lot of horses get worried when it goes from their vision to underneath the throat latch over there where they can't see it. It disappears. And so they get really comfortable, like, where did that go? And they actually step away so that they can see what you have in your hand. So this is where, good boy. This is where he's gonna have a harder time when it starts to disappear under here. You see he pulls away. So anytime he moves away, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna keep tapping, adding pressure till you come into me. Good boy. Good boy. And his face has all of that alfalfa on it from this morning when he just finished eating his soaked alfalfa. So he's got all this green stuff all over his nose. Good boy. There. Good. I'm going to come under. I'm going to go ahead and tap, see if I can get him to come into this. And I'm putting a considerable amount of pressure on him. He's in a tight space. A lot of horses, if they find themselves in a tight space like this, they'll either want to bolt through and take off, so I'm being aware of that, or they might want to come at me, right, or turn and start kicking. I want to make sure that I'm just aware there and prepared for anything like that he might try to do. And it's understandable because of how tight I have him enclosed here. With these feral horses, wild horses, you really want to take your time and be very gradual in the way that we do these things. So you can see on day 1, 2, 3, or 4, would I have done this? No, but over time we've built up an understanding, and I have a good sense of the amount of pressure that he can and cannot take. All right, so I'm gonna have him step forward here. I'm gonna come back under here with the clip. That was better. Good, very good. Oh, good, I like that. You see how when I withdrew, he started kind of coming in towards me? I like that a lot. I'm gonna give him a rub for that. So this time I'm gonna see if I can come in and if I can actually clip it underneath the halter. Good boy. Good boy. And the release is the rub on the neck and under here. Good boy. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clip it here. He pulled away. I'm gonna pretend like I don't have it clipped, even though I could pull his face back towards me. I'm just gonna go ahead, go back to tapping. Good. Let him know that coming in towards me, falling into my hand, that's what gets him there, the reward there. So I'm gonna go ahead and now I'm gonna unclip. I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna clip. What a pony. What a gentleman there. I'm gonna ask him to fall into my hand here. Very good. Awesome. All right, so now that we have got him clipped up to the lead rope, our next session is I'm gonna do a little bit of leading in here, build off of some of the other leading sessions that we have, make sure it's nice and solid, and then we're gonna work our way out to the round pen. So he's haltered up. He's been doing awesome today. He's being a big boy. This is our big boy day. We're gonna leave the pen. We're gonna lead him out of here. Hopefully we can get him out through the barn without him getting worried about the shadows and stuff and get him over to the round pen. And we'll introduce some of the basic work that we do with our horses in the round pen. So I talked earlier about management of this lead rope, right? I've got a long lead rope so that if he gets away from me, he really can't. I still have him, okay? Especially when I get out into the barnyard, I wanna have a lot of room. Now, I don't wanna have to use all of this lead rope, because even with all of this lead rope, if he takes off fast enough, quick enough, runs sideways, he can get away from me. So I want to be very careful and slow and methodical about the way that we work with this stuff. So here we go. I'm going to start and I'm just going to draw him in towards me. Good pony. And I want to work with continuing to getting him to fall into my hand. So I pick up my hand and I'm going to draw some pressure. He doesn't really know what this means, but he will in a little bit, because when he does move into me and moves the hind quarter away, I release the pressure. So I'm going to pick up. I want to fall into my hand. There we go. Good. Good boy. I want him to fall into my hand. There, that was better. Good. Fall into my hand. There. Good. Let's do the other side. He wants to block me. I'm going to say no. You got to be really careful when you're working with these guys in close quarters. Good boy. That's all right. You're okay, bud. Because in a tight space, it's just too easy to get kicked and get nailed. Especially when I'm coming towards his hip, right? I'm saying fall into my hand. Good pony. Yes, sir. There. Good. You're all right, bud. I'm going to say no. Let me in here. Good. Now fall into my, there, good. So he's kind of worried on this side when I ask him to fall into my hand, okay? So I'm just gonna stick with him here. Let's see if we can get one without that overreaction. There we go, good. And again, the idea is I want his nose to come into me, his hip, there, to go away from me. Very good. And that's essentially leading, right? You know, because when we lead, we need to be able to turn him this way. Good. Turn him that way. Yeah, Slate, what a pony. Oh my goodness. And now let's work on forward. Good. Now release. Oh, let me give him a big rub. Again, I want you to see how I come up high, right? Normally when we pet our horses, we don't come up high to pet them. But for a horse like this, I really want to make sure he's not afraid of me, isn't worried about maybe getting slapped in the face or whatever. Get some of that alfalfa off your nose, huh? Oh my goodness, does that feel good? What a pony, yes sir. Oh yeah, good boy, Slate. What a big boy, yeah. All right, so now we're gonna work on coming out, and I'm gonna take him right out of the gate here. Oh, good pony, look at that backing up. That is really good. What a gentleman. So I really like the feel of things where we are right now. Now, my goal here is I want to be just as a matter of fact as possible. I'm going to let him take his time. Good boy. But I really want to just keep things rolling and not get stuck. Sometimes people make the mistake, I'm not going to let them eat there, of like just kind of pausing and let me see what's going to happen. And oh, you're okay, buddy. And I'm just going to act like this is super normal. Good boy. Like we've done this 1,000 times before. Now I got to be careful because I don't want him to rush through me if he shoots through here, because horses will do that when they see an opening. They'll want to run through. Good boy. All right, take your time. Good. I'm going to get out of his way. And I'm going to give him plenty of space. Here we come. Good. Good boy. There. Good. Good. And I want to kind of keep him off to my side, so if he does shoot through, good boy, he doesn't come over the top of me. Good pony. Good. Okay, so we're going to bring him out of the shadows here. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to walk him right to this round pen over here. And I'm really not going to do a lot of turns and stuff out here in the open because I don't want him to get away from me. And I much rather start working more on like turns and stuff once I get into this pen, because then I have a lot more control. It's all right. Good boy. He's doing really, really well. I'm very impressed with you, Mr. Slate. Yes. Oh, it's okay. Come on, let's go. And you see how I just keep him coming here? Like it's no big deal. There you go. Good. He's like, what are we doing here? Good pony. What a pony. That was so good. All right, so I'm gonna drop my lead rope here. I've got a long one, so I can go grab it if I need to, so I'm not worried about that. And so now that we've got him in the round pen, now I'm gonna start working on some more stuff with him and see how he does with that, okay? He's obviously more comfortable at a further distance, but you see how no matter how far away he gets from me with this long, let me see if I can back him up from here. with this long rope, he can be all the way at the other side of the pen, and it's literally impossible for him to start pulling and get away from me, okay? But again, so important when you're working with a long rope like this. This can be so dangerous, right? You don't want to get wrapped up. You want to have good management. You never want to, step on top of your rope where you can pull your feet out from underneath you. You never want to have it wrapped up around you. You really got to take care to make sure that you stay safe. So I'm actually going to start here with, instead of going right into the leading, I'm going to work on sending him out. Okay, so sending him out in a circle and having him move out. When I send him out here, one of the things that I'm going to be looking for is that he does it very methodically. Even though this is the first time that I'm actually sending him, I'm going to do it just like I would with any other horse. So when we send a horse, I'm going to go ahead and draw him forward. Oh my, look at how light he is being right now. What a pony. And again, we really were working on all of this as we were working on the haltering, right? Getting him to fall into my hand instead of brace against it, okay? Here we go. So when I ask a horse to send, I break it down into 3 distinct steps. Step number 1 is I'll ask him to back up. He's really good with the backing up. Very good. Step number 2 is I'll ask him to move the front end over. You'll see a lot of people when they teach a horse how to move their front end, they'll kind of take their stick and they'll beat on the horse's neck, and I'm not going to do that with him. I can give him some clarity and add some pressure if I need to, but it's not the pressure of beating on his neck that should make a horse move over. I hate to see that. What I want to do is show him very clearly where I want him to go, okay? And I want him to move that front end over. So I'll kind of show him where I want him to go, and I'll use my body language to be clear. My stick's going to close the door here. There, and I'll release. Just that little step. What a pony. Good boy. So you see how when I gave him that clarity, I don't have to beat and whack on his face or neck. He'll just move over for me just from that clarity. Now, a lot of times horses will want to walk forward out of that. Some of them will want to go backwards out of that. He went backwards. I'm not going to correct him moving backwards. If he were to come forward, I would say, nope, stay on your hind end and move your front end over. Okay, so number 1, we back him up. Good. Nice big deep breath to let him know he's made a great decision. Number 2, I'm going to show him where to go. So you see how I show first, then I'll pick up and I'll add some pressure. Good, to move that front end away. Now I've got him facing the direction that I want him to go. So that's where step 3 comes into play. And what that looks like is I continue to show him where I want him to go, and then I'll add pressure behind them. But every step is back, let them soak it in for a moment. Move over, let them soak it in. And now we're gonna drive forward, okay? So I'm gonna show him where I want him to go. Add some pressure, he wants to turn towards me. I'm just gonna stay clear with him. I don't need to get after him. I just need to be clear. And then of course, when he takes the right option, I lower the pressure to let him know, no, go back out that way, go forward. There, good boy. And I'll let him putt around here. So he wants to fall into my hand. You see what that looks like? We've been working on fall into my hand. So I'm trying to point, and he's like, no, let me come into you. I'm like, okay, I want you to be clear here. When I point though, I want you to actually move away and forward. There we go, good. What a pony. And it's very normal when you start sending a horse, a lot of them will want to stop and turn into you. I'm gonna go ahead and let my string out so I can create more energy. We're just gonna drive him forward out of it. So he's avoiding the camera a little bit, which is fine. He'll get used to it. Good. And so now my focus is just on creating consistent forward movement, giving him understanding to move out. Now, when he started trotting, notice I didn't get after him to say, nope, you gotta walk. I said, okay, that's cool, we can stay in the trot, that's fine. And we'll just let him get comfortable and relaxed. So there's a few things I'm gonna look for. I wanna see him really relax. So one is if he stops turning in and he's consistently moving out for me, that's a good sign that he has better understanding and he's more relaxed. Ooh, that's a good sign. You know, it's not a watery poop, it's a good solid poop. He's just pooping out there. He feels comfortable enough to poop, that's good. One of the things when you are working, I'm gonna go ahead and draw him in. He's doing really well. I talked about those signs of relaxation. He took a couple of deep breaths. He's looking into me. I really, really like this. One of the things about working with a wild horse like this, especially if you have like a feral horse, a horse that hasn't been handled, is you want to make sure that your equipment is solid, right? So I've got a really strong, steady horse halter and lead. I've got the long lead rope. I've got my steady stick, which can give him clarity and direction when I'm working with him. But I also have my 7 Peaks round pins, which are absolutely incredible. Because of the height, these are the 6-foot panels. They've got 6 rungs, they're heavy duty, big wide gate. They're very secure so that I can have the peace of mind when I'm working with a horse like this. If things do get too excited, I know it's going to contain them and I know that they are going to be safe. And so I always start these new horses in an area like this where it's safe and secure, because the last thing on top of a horse that's nervous, that might be aggressive like he can be, right? The last thing I want to have to worry about is my equipment going to fail me? And one thing I can say for sure is that 7 Peaks has never let me down. Their panels stand up, they're tough. I've had some of the toughest horses in here, and I know that they're not only not going to be able to get out, but they're going to be safe. So make sure if you're working on this kind of stuff with a similar type horse that you are using quality equipment like 7 Peaks. I stand by these guys and their products 100%. Incredible stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go now, since we've sent him this direction, we're gonna go ahead now, we're gonna send him the other direction. Same thing, I like that he's got a foot cocked, he's really relaxed. I love how he has my attention on me and then also on Kylan, Mr. Cameraman over here. He wants to see where he is. But I love that relatively he's got his attention on me. Okay, so now I'm gonna start with step 1, which is back him up. Good, notice how now I'm like just getting in there like I would any other horse. Good boy. Step 2, move that front end over. I'll show him first. I don't expect him to just move, a little bit. That was really good. I was gonna say, I don't expect him to just move over like a horse who knows how to do this would, but he did such a good job. When I went to point and I opened up that door, he just started to move that front end over there. So I really, really like that. And it was just a little bit, just a 1 foot moved over, but I released the pressure to let him know he did a good job. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna point him in that direction. Very good. So he is starting to pick this up. I love that. Now I'm gonna add a little bit more pressure to really get that front end to move over. I'm gonna stick with him here. So this is where I'll give him a tap if I need to, just for some clarity. There, good. But again, I'm not whacking on him. There. What a pony, good boy. So that was step 2, moving the front end over. And then step 3, I'm gonna drive him forward and around. Good boy, good. Up. Good boy, way to move that front end. So I'm gonna let it loop around there. And he's just getting a little confused. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him a little bit of clarity, give him some taps here to push him off of me and around. Good, good boy. Good pony. Okay, so right now, all I'm really doing here is sending him around, and I want him to get consistent, where he's not trying to stop or turn into me or turn away. That's step 1. And then I want him to get a little more relaxed in these movements. And now's a good time too. I can kind of talk to you guys about my game plan with him going forward, right? So the biggest part of this was being able to get Slate where we could halter him safely, okay? And so that was like the first several sessions. We were just working on approaching him, haltering him, without him trying to bite my hand off or come after me, okay? But now that I can halter him safely, I can lead him in and out of his stall, I can bring him over here to be worked. My biggest priority is making sure that we get him to where we can handle his feet, okay? So I wanna make sure that I can get him to where I can handle his feet. And then once I can handle his feet, my next priority, and I'm gonna be doing lots of exercises to get him there, but my next priority is gonna be getting him to where I can get him into the trailer, load him and unload him. And then lastly, again, for right now, I wanna make sure that I can take him in the trailer and take him down the road where we can take him to the veterinarian and he can get gelded because he's still an intact stallion, all right? And so we want to make sure that we get him gelded as soon as we can. So those are kind of like my short-term goals with him over the next couple of weeks, so that he can be on his way to continuing on his training and being on a path for success. He's getting a little bit more consistent. He turned back that one time, but he's not turning back as much, or trying to turn back. I like the evenness of his gait. Every now and again he'll blow out. He's not stopping or turning in or slowing down as much. So now I'm going to give him the opportunity to slow down. I want you to check this out. When I want him to slow down, I'm not going to pull on the lead rope. Look, I'm going to have it nice and slack here. I'm just going to take a nice big deep breath. There, good, good pony. What a pony. We're gonna go back to the left side. I'm gonna back him up a touch. Good. I'm gonna move that front end over. Good pony. Awesome. Move that front end back over. Good. I'm gonna drive him forward. I'm gonna draw him in here. Nice big deep breath. Good. We're gonna go back to the right side. I'm gonna back him up a touch. Deep breath. Come on, you got this. Up. Shorten my rope. Give him some clarity here. There, good. Let's go in there. There, good. And now I'm gonna drive him forward this direction. Good pony. And I'd say this is probably a good place to quit with him in this session. Look at how much more relaxed he is. Look how much softer he is on the line here too. I love that, love that. Now when I'm ready, I'll draw you in. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my stick here. Bring you in here, good boy. Get you to fall into my hand. There, good. There, good boy. I'm gonna take this opportunity to spend some time, yes, rubbing and loving on you. Yeah, oh my goodness, do you like that, Slate? Good boy, good boy. And I'm really gonna see if I can get kind of further back past his nose on both sides. See how he kind of avoids me when I start going further back? Oh no. There we go, good. Good boy, same thing on this side. I'm gonna come around here. He's much more comfortable letting me go further back on this side because we've been doing a lot of when we halter him and stuff. Good boy, he's more relaxed on this side. Let me go back to this other side. That was really good, Slate. Let's see if we can just get a little further back on this side. I know, but I promise it's okay. There we go, good. Good, it's gracious. What a good boy, Slate. And I'd say that's a really good session for his first time outside of the barn.